Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Iowa, the Hawkeye State. In this episode, we're gonna visit Captain Kirk's birthplace. We'll experience hurricane-force winds in Iowa City while having lunch with new friends. We'll have dinner in Des Moines, also with new friends. Then on to Minnesota. We'll stop by Buddy Holly's crash site. We'll spend the night mooch docking at a lake house, making more new friends. Then, after a pit stop in Fargo, North Dakota, we'll visit the headwaters of the Mississippi and go almost as far north as one possibly can in the lower 48. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Our first stop is going to be Riverside, Iowa, famous for being the fictitious birthplace of Captain James T. Kirk of Star Trek. And here they have the Voyage Home Museum, named after the Star Trek IV movie, I suppose, where they first reveal that Kirk is from Iowa.
You're from outer space.
No, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space.
Check it out. Here we have James T. Kirk.
Here's a statue of the man himself, although it doesn't really look like him now, does it? It kind of looks like George W. Bush to me, to be honest, but I digress. This has got to be like some kind of pilgrimage for every Trekkie, right? Or Trekker, as some prefer it. It is the USS Riverside. Had it been the Enterprise, it would have been the 1701 and the 1708, two of the best ships ever. Here's the museum, but I don't think it is open yet. The museum doesn't seem to be open yet, even though it's supposed to open right now at 11 a.m. But let's go to the actual birthplace and we'll stop by the museum here on the way back. It's a free museum. They do take donations apparently, and they sell t-shirts and stuff. I'll probably just buy a t-shirt. Riverside proclaimed itself the future birthplace of James Kirk back in 1985, based on Gene Roddenberry's book, The Making of Star Trek. 1 year before the Voyage Home movie came out, actually. The birthplace marker is somewhere around here.
Yep, Riverside, Iowa here.
There, birthplace. It must be through here. They have a shrine of sorts and the mural. And this one doesn't really look like Kirk either. Alright, let's stop by the museum. It should be open by now. They do not allow commercial videography, but she said that still photography was fine, so here you go. I used to have that exact same poster. Got it at a convention years ago. Let's continue. Kind of ironic that at James T. Kirk's birthplace there's hardly any internet connectivity when it comes to cell phone service. I was trying to get a hailing frequency out to see if Illy would like a t-shirt in there, Illy or Brian, and he wouldn't send the pictures. Longtime viewer Anant from Iowa City has invited me to lunch at this place called Jones's. Another longtime viewer, Steve from Des Moines, is texting me that bad weather is coming my way. And I'm like, how bad could it possibly be, right? Of course, Anand said that there was oversized parking in the back, and of course, I didn't follow instructions. If the Google lady says, turn here, I'm like a robot, programmed to obey. It is tight, but I think we're gonna make it. Okay, here we go. I'll park right next to this Airstream. As I am parked here waiting, a concerned local came up to me and mentioned the bad weather coming, so I started to get concerned and I decided to move and park facing west where the wind is coming from and next to a building for some protection, and I think the folks in the Airstream are going to do the same. Yeah, go figure. Apparently there's a storm coming, 80-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know, it's coming that way, so we'll see.
I do need a car wash, so.
Look at those ominous clouds moving from the west. There they are in the white Kia, Anand, his brother Jay, and friend Sarah. Let's go eat.
Rain is imminent.
Here we are with Anand and family, and we're gonna eat. I think it's the largest sandwich in Iowa or something like that.
Pork tenderloin sandwich.
Oh my God. You think tornadoes coming? It looks bad. I mean, I'm all used to hurricanes back in Florida, but this is worse, I think. Lunch was definitely an experience, not only because of the food and the company, which were great, but also the weather outside. And oh, I missed it. The transformer just blew out. This is incredible. This is like a hurricane. Meanwhile, at the parking lot, oh boy.
Well, back there we have the storm, but in here we have this ginormous sandwich. So let's partake.
This type of storm is called a derecho, which means straight in Spanish, by the way, and it happens here in the Midwest on average once a year or every other year, and apparently this is one of the worst the area has seen in a while. Winds up to 80 miles per hour. It is always great to make new friends on the road. Till we meet again. Well, I'd say we got to experience an authentic Midwestern storm. Great to meet up with Anand and Jay and Sarah here in Des Moines. They got me some sweet corn and some IPAs, and this neighborhood has no power, so I guess we treat it like a four-way stop.
In 800 feet, turn right onto the I-80 West ramp.
In other news, the KOA canceled my reservation because they don't have power. They have a bunch of down trees. So, yeah, it was.
Turn right onto the I-80 West ramp.
It was like a mini hurricane. Like, imagine a hurricane that lasts half an hour.
In a quarter mile, merge onto I-80 West.
The right side of the truck got a pretty nice pressure wash, so. All right, on to Des Moines we go. We'll see what the future brings today. It's still 2:20 p.m. I'll be in Des Moines by 4:20 p.m. I really wanted to see the world's largest truck stop, which is on I-80 about 40 miles east of here. But since they canceled my reservation for tonight, I'm gonna head west, actually, straight to Des Moines. Steve told me I could mooch dock at his place, and even if that doesn't work out and I end up staying somewhere else, I wanna keep going. It is now almost like a tradition to drop something off the original plan in every state. It gives me an excuse to return, as if I ever needed one. And if it feels like I am rushing this part of the trip, I am. I have to pick up some packages in Fargo in a couple of days, and they are gonna arrive earlier than expected. Take a look at that. The winds must have been much stronger around here, and I think I really dodged a bullet by staying in Iowa City and not attempting to drive through this. And it looks like there's another wreck coming up ahead. We are in Des Moines, and I'm really looking forward to meeting Steve and Karen. Steve was originally going to organize the Des Moines meetup that eventually got cancelled. I didn't film my arrival, but Steve and Karen are taking me to dinner and a quick tour of the city. This property we're circling is known locally as the Spaceship House, owned by soy and corn millionaire Lamar Cothy. It is a vast property here in Urbandale, just northwest of Des Moines proper. Here we've got some damage from that Derecho storm as we cruise along, going towards the downtown area. This is Terrace Hill, the governor's mansion. Next, here to the left, we've got Papa John's Sculpture Park, and we're going to stop for a few minutes. From here, we can also see the Capitol building with its golden cupola, probably one of the most beautiful in the United States. We actually visited last year when we were here. This is one of the most important pieces here in the sculpture park. It is called Nomad by Spanish artist Jaume Plensa.
Robert, this area right here, right when we first came past Meredith and coming in, is called the Gateway District. So it's newer, like in the last 10 years.
I definitely have to return, hopefully next year. There it is, once again, the gorgeous state capital. Here, a view of downtown from the Capitol steps. And according to Steve and Karen, it is supposed to be even better at night. Alright, let's go eat. And there is a Cuban restaurant here in Des Moines called Ceviche Bar.
Well, here we are at Ceviche Bar here in Des Moines. Who would have thunk it that there's Cuban food in Des Moines, Iowa?
We're having the fried yuca appetizer, and I've got something called a Cuban burger, although to be honest, I probably should have gone with a standard Cuban sandwich. And the flan for dessert. That looks like a brewery. Of course, it is the Iowa Tap Room. Very tempting, but I still have some more driving to do today. And with that, we're gonna start saying goodbye to Des Moines this time around. This wasn't really in the modified 2020 plan anyways, where I said I was going to avoid big cities, but I am so glad I stopped. This is cool. This is the Iowa Women of Achievement Bridge with 2 lanes, one for pedestrians, one for cyclists. So much to see and so little time. And our time here today is running out quickly. So it is from here, from the bank of the Des Moines River, that we're gonna say, till next time.
Well, very, very nice to finally meet Steve in person, Steve and Karen. And now we're gonna do a Walmart tonight because that big storm really changed our plans, really. So as you know, the KOA canceled my reservation. So everything happens for a reason. I had a 400-mile day ahead of me, and now I have like a 320-mile day. I'll figure it out tomorrow.
So many overturned semis, that's just insane. We're going north now, and the prevalent wind was coming from the west, so it probably just lifted them off the ground. Can you imagine getting caught in that? This whole area, by the way, seems to be without power. So it is going to be a dark and lonely night at Walmart. Before we continue, let me tell you about Surfshark VPN. And VPN, it stands for Virtual Private Network. And what it does, it creates a secure private connection between your devices and the internet. And that's particularly important at a place where you have no cell phone signal, for example, and you have to connect to that potentially insecure Wi-Fi. You know, someone could be eavesdropping on that connection, you know, they could potentially steal your passwords, hack your machine, and you don't want that to happen. So it's very simple. It's like in your phone, it's just an app, and you just click connect, and it connects to the closest, fastest server, and that's it. Boom, you are secure. It is also very convenient, for example, if you're traveling abroad, something we cannot do right now, but eventually we will, right? And let's say you want to watch your local football game or something you're used to watching and it's not available in that country where you are. Just change your location virtually. That's it. It has other features, clean web, ad blocker, all kinds of stuff. Just go to surfshark.deals/MyRV, and when you enter promo code MyRV at checkout, you get 85% off and 3 months for free. Good morning. This was actually a pretty quiet boondocking spot. We're going to Walmart, get a couple of essentials, and on the road again. 60 degrees Fahrenheit here in the morning. Of course, that won't last, but it is nice that it gets down to cooler temperatures at night. I'm gonna move closer to the entrance, just so I don't have to drag the shopping cart all the way back here. I don't really need anything like emergency, but since my Cuban coffee machine is broken and I'm out of filters for my regular coffee machine, so I'm gonna get some filters and you always buy more than you need. Just a few essentials. I think today I behaved. I only bought some potato chips, besides the essentials, of course. Somewhere around here they have the world's largest concrete gnome, but I don't think you can see it from the road, and there's nowhere to park with the rig, so we're gonna keep going. Today, going north towards Minnesota. I-35 here, going north. Not the most captivating of drives, let's be honest. It's straight and flat, kind of reminds me of some roads in Florida. Let's take a break at the rest area here real quick. And what do we have here? Dump station! Might as well. Let's empty the gray holding tank, and that way we have no problem boondocking tonight. All right, well, thank you, Iowa, for having dump stations at your rest areas. Even though it is straight and flat, it is still very pretty countryside. Although today, it's definitely more about the destination than the journey. We're gonna be mooch docking at a lake house in northern Minnesota. This gentleman, Earl, and his wife, Kathy, they contacted me a while ago and they offered, for me to stay at their place. And I emailed him back and he said yes, and that's where we're going. But before we go into Minnesota, there is one last thing I want to see here in Iowa before we continue. And there it was. I'm gonna have to turn around somewhere. And that's how you do it.
Okay, here we are, walking along these cornfields.
Whenever I see cornfields, it reminds me of that 80s horror movie.
It's like the children of the corn. I guess this is it.
February 3rd, 1959. The day the music died. Buddy Holly, along with Richie Valens and Big Bopper, decided to take a plane instead of riding the bus. And here's where they crashed, only 6 miles after takeoff. People leave all sorts of offerings at this shrine of sorts, which was built by music fan Ken Paquette in 1988. Yep, beer, Mardi Gras beads, glasses. There's also a memorial dedicated to the 21-year-old pilot who crashed the plane.
Alright, let's continue.
Yeah, very cool. I'm glad I got to see it, and the fact that it's still here and people still come to see it after all these years. Alright, I'm back. Let me check. No internet. Actually, let me go into the trailer. Still no internet. Corn, as far as the eye can see. You know, there always has to be a casino at the state line, especially between a gambling and a non-gambling state.
Welcome to Minnesota.
And yeah, we are in Minnesota. Let's take a picture with the sign. Well, I didn't show you, but I went to the Welcome Center, got a map, took a shower inside Minitini, and now it is nearly non-stop to the lake house. There's Minneapolis. Take a good look because this is as close as we're gonna get, at least on this trip. Coming up on Mille Lacs Lake. Huge, and apparently an excellent opportunity for fishing and swimming too. But this is not our lake. We're going to another one, a little farther north, coincidentally named Pelican Lake. And here we are, crossing the Mississippi River. That's pretty cool. Here we are. Wow. This is just perfect. Of course, Earl and Kathy fed me like a king. And just when things couldn't get any better, Earl says, "How about we take out the boat?"
Between these two houses, there's another old house that you can see the deck over there. It was built in the 30s as well.
Didn't I say recently that I wanted a pontoon boat, or even better, a friend with one? Well, it looks like I got my wish.
As I said, we are riding in Earl's pontoon right now. So, thank you so much for inviting me to your place
I
here.
tell you what, we are so glad you're here, Robert. This is such a great experience for us. Couldn't be better.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to get this opportunity for some time, and thank God it finally came. And you're here on Pelican Lake visiting us. It's wonderful.
Pelican Lake with my Pelican t-shirt, just
Fly,
you know,
Pelican, fly.
just because, you know. No, this is great.
All kidding aside, this is definitely something I would love to do more of.
Well, Robert, thank you for so much for coming and visiting us. And we just love to have you here.
I'm driving now.
Sailing into the sunset.
Sailing to the west, into the sunset, sailing to the west.
I love it. If you come and visit me for a longer period of time, I'll take you walleye fishing.
Well, you heard it here first. And there are loons all over the place.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Kath?
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Stopping. And hopefully now you know where we're at. You'll come back.
But I like. This is the effect that I like. It's called quick shot.
Oh yeah.
And it's the the dolly zoom.
Oh yeah.
It'll. Okay, let's choose you. You have to choose a subject, and it'll fly back while zooming in at the same time.
Well, look at that.
And it creates that trippy effect.
That just holds the part you stay the same.
You see, I'm trying to sell Earl here on the idea of buying a new drone, and I think I'm succeeding. It is now magic hour, in what can only be described as a magical afternoon. And what a great way to end it. Right here, on Pelican Lake, watching the sunset.
Robert's getting ready to leave. All packed up.
I need you to send me that footage.
I'm going to send you all of it. Yep. I have to transfer it over. I haven't done it yet, but anyway. Been nice having you here, Robert.
Great having
Thanks for
great
coming.
being here. Thank you so much.
So awesome.
Let me put the GoPro on the roof and off we go. Till we meet again. Thank you, Earl and Kathy, for your great hospitality and for providing this unforgettable experience. Now the journey continues. Riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah.
Welcome to North Dakota.
All right, one more state.
Our time here in Fargo is going to be mostly utilitarian. I gotta pick up some packages, get a set of tires for the Colorado and an oil change. And we're gonna make one day trip, but this is one of those rare occasions where I'm going to break the timeline and show it to you on the next episode. That way we have all of Minnesota together and all of North Dakota together as well, except for today's detour, of course. Lindenwood Park here, very nice, right on the Red River, bunch of trails, but unfortunately, we're not gonna get to enjoy any of that this time around. Let's do a car wash, get my packages, get some new tires, and tomorrow we'll do the oil change.
You know what this is? Maybe Yaletti Mocha Express. We can have Cuban coffee again. Should I do a dry run? I don't have the time. Salud, my friends. Cheers. Yep, this is the good stuff. Well, good morning from Fargo, North Dakota. I just did an oil change here at Gateway Chevrolet. Let me tell you, most efficient dealership I've ever been to. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
It was a dark and stormy night in Fargo. Today we're going back to Minnesota.
Good morning. Perhaps not the best weather to be on the road, but there was some hail this morning, not here, but like north of here. I saw it on the news. And today the destination right now it's to see the headwaters of the Mississippi River, and if it's raining, I'll pull out an umbrella and we'll see it anyways. Bunch of people jogging here on this park, which I barely knew, but you know, my original idea was to go out jogging this morning, and well, scratch that, right? Let me go slow. All right, well, enjoy the ride. It should be about a 2-hour drive or so. That's a nasty storm coming from the west. Look at that dark color over there. Yep.
And back in Minnesota we are.
Welcome to Minnesota.
Hey, thank you. Yes. Oh, look at that. This was like perfect timing.
And I'm gonna try to do my best to outrun that storm. I'm kind of traumatized after that derecho in Iowa.
I was debating because just 10 miles south of here, there's this giant pelican sculpture that somebody told me and recommended to see, but I'm really worried about that storm.
That does not look good. I'm gonna have to change my route. Make a detour.
I'm gonna change my route. I cannot be caught in the path of that. Change of plans. I don't want to be caught in the path of that storm. So, we're going southeast, just to avoid it, wait it out somewhere further south. And then we'll come back up. If we lose an hour or two in the process, it is what it is. But that just looks too scary. Too much like that derecho we went through a couple of days ago, and nope.
I'm gonna go towards Wadena, and I am so glad I don't have reservations anywhere because it is a pretty big detour. I'm gonna stop here ever so briefly, put a fresh new battery on the GoPro, and then we continue. Well, to make a long story short, less than an hour later we are arriving in Wadena, and I'm gonna have lunch here real quick.
Right here I just parked on the street, and let me show you something, man. This storm seems determined at catching up with me. By the way, busy little town here. Look at that. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drive 20 miles further south. See if we can, I'm gonna show you the map. I'm gonna put the map here and show you what I'm thinking about. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I drove all the way down to a town called Eagle Bend, and I parked at a church and waited for the weather to improve. And we won't be able to avoid the rain entirely, but at least the worst is over by now. And since there is good internet, I'm gonna make an otherwise boring drive more interesting by live streaming the whole thing on Facebook. An eternity later, here we are, Itasca State Park.
All right, let's go see the headwaters of the Mississippi. It's pretty cool. This is where we are. Headwaters, great rivers of the world. That's what this one is called, and of course, this would be the Mississippi. And the other big one is the Nile. The Nile would be another important river here. And of course, the Amazon in South America. All right, let's see. Headwaters, 800 feet, 6 feet or 2 meters social distance.
Here's a sculpture of the headwaters caretaker woman. And we are about to cross the Mississippi once again.
tell you, I think I should have worn my hoodie. The temperature is dropping. I mean, we're in the middle of August here. What's going on?
Here we are, the very beginning of the mighty Mississippi. Here, at 1,475 feet above the ocean, the mighty Mississippi begins to flow on its winding way, 2,552 miles to the Gulf of Mexico. That's Lake Itasca, and here they have some rocks where you can cross the river if you feel so inclined.
Well, I suppose this would be the shortest and northernmost bridge over the Mississippi. We are crossing the mighty Mississippi River here on this wooden plank. It's pretty cool, actually. Well, welcome back to the visitor center, and what a cool experience to be able to see this here in northern Minnesota, the headwaters of the Mississippi. Now we have another 2.5 hours going north here, and yeah, let's hit the road. Doesn't it kind of have that Washington State look, like that rainforest with all the ferns? And I mean, the trees are not as big, but yeah, it's got that rainforest look to it, and yeah, a little muddy. Yeah, I think the fact that it's a rainy day adds to the whole that whole feeling.
Here we are, the Seven Clans Casino. They offer free RV parking with electrical hookups, and even though I don't really like to gamble, in a different time I would have gone into the bar, maybe have an IPA, or maybe even dinner. But in the summer of 2020 here, I'm just gonna park, do my live stream, maybe edit a little video and go to sleep. Very crispy this morning, the air. You can tell we are like in a totally different climate here. I mean, we are like in the great white north, right? It's just not white, it's beautiful. A beautiful day today. It's probably, temperature is probably 60. It's a little bit of a breeze, so, and I'm not using the good microphone, so. Well, they have this very nice outdoor area here. I guess that's part of the buffet. I doubt the buffet is gonna be open in the era of COVID. And there's this nice gazebo here. Yeah, I was looking at my map, and that landmass over there in the distance, that's probably Buffalo Point in Canada. That will be Canada right there. I'm getting hungry, so I'm gonna make some of that sweet corn that an aunt gave me a couple of days ago in Iowa. I'm just gonna boil it for 5 minutes. That's what they said, and then we're gonna get on the road again. This is called Lake of the Woods. And why have we come all the way up here? Well, let me tell you, for many years now, I've been meaning to visit all the extreme points of the United States. And this one is a geographical oddity. Somewhere beyond Buffalo Point over there is the northwest angle. Let me show you on a map. Angle Inlet, located at the northwest angle, is the northernmost point in the contiguous United States. Apparently, at the time of the Treaty of Paris in 1873, they didn't really know the origin of the Mississippi River, and the map they used was wrong, and in the end, we're left with this enclave only accessible through Canada, or by boat, I suppose. Guess what? As of August 2020, the Canadian border is still closed, and this is pretty much as close as we can get. Actually, I'm gonna try and get a little bit closer. If I could just fly a little bit higher, we could probably see it, but we're limited to 400 feet. So I'm just gonna drive around Muskeg Bay here to a point that is actually closer. Well, what a difference a day makes, and today it's just beautiful. I mean, there's some clouds coming from North Dakota, but I'll monitor the weather just in case. We're gonna backtrack west even a little more, see if we can get a glimpse at that inlet, since we are here all the way. We came all the way. But it's 25 minutes in the grand scheme of things. And then we're going to North Dakota. How do you like my North Dakota shirt, by the way? It's got a bison. There's the Border Patrol, and I don't think I've ever seen a flatter land. This is called Rocky Point, the end of the road here. There's a resort called Arneson's Rocky Point. They even have an RV park. Let me see if I can find a place to park for a few minutes. Try and see if the northwest angle is visible, and I really hope I don't run into a dead-end situation. Let's turn around right here. Oh yeah, this is probably as close as I'm going to get on this trip. Somewhere out there. Canada over there. Yeah, if that's Buffalo Point, then the inlet is just beyond the horizon. Let's make sure the GoPro is recording, and off we go! Next time I might want to stay at this RV park here. And I was gonna fly the drone, but it's a little windy, and I don't think it was gonna make a big difference, 400 feet above ground.
It's just beyond the horizon, the inlet. That's what I was looking in the map. If we can barely see Canada on the left there, we're not gonna be able to see. But yeah, we're pretty much here, very close to the parallel where Canada would begin, except for maybe you can take a boat from here into the northern angle. But I will do that next year when the border is open. We'll do it the normal way. Now, I've got a 2-hour drive to. Oh, and I forgot to get a bottle of water. Let me stop here real quick just to get a bottle of water.
Today, the road will take us back to North Dakota. And we're gonna spend a few days exploring, but I'm gonna save all that, along with the day trip we did from Fargo, for the next episode. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the road.